YouTube family, what's up? Welcome. Smash like and subscribe and fire off your Champions League final takes in the chat. We've got a packed show. Daniel Sturridge is in the house. Vamos.
What's going on, everybody?
What's up? What's up? What's up? Daniel Sturridge in the house. How are you?
Yes, sir. I'm good, man. Really good. Obviously disappointed about the game, but I'm happy to be here. Happy to hang out and have some fun.
Absolutely. Listen, everybody, I'm not even going to do an intro. I'll get into the call to actions later, but welcome. We got Daniel Sturridge for the first 10 minutes. Jimmy Conrad's going to join. Jonathan Johnson's going to join. But Daniel, straight away, commiserations, obviously. Liverpool lose 1-0 to Real Madrid. Real Madrid win their 14th Champions League title. Unbelievable. Carlo Ancelotti, the most successful manager in European competition. Give me just your initial thoughts about the game and how it ended and Real Madrid's amazing victory against Liverpool.
I think the game opened up very well. Obviously, Liverpool, played well in the first half. They created a fair few chances, at least half chances as well. And then as the game went on, Madrid grew more comfortable. And the one goal was all they needed, really. The one clear-cut chance is all they needed, and they took it, and they defended well. Courtois made some unbelievable saves as well. And in the end, they showed that fighting spirit, that warrior spirit, that champion spirit, and they got the job done.
Let me ask you a difficult question. We didn't really talk about it as much in HQ in the post-game, but would you say that this is a disappointing season for Liverpool, or how would you characterize it? Obviously, they won the FA Cup, the League Cup. They took Man City to the last day of the season to try and get the Premier League title. It didn't happen. And now, Daniel, third final this season where they didn't score in 90 minutes and extra time, obviously, when it happened. But how would you characterize Liverpool's season now that they've lost to Real Madrid in the Champions League?
Well, look, I think it's been a good season for Liverpool Football Club. Successful. They've won 2 trophies. Of course, the 2 bigger trophies that they would have loved to have won, at least one of those, they haven't been able to do that, unfortunately, for myself and for the fans around the world of Liverpool Football Club. But they've played a lot of games. They've had to rotate the squad. They've missed players through the African Nations Cup. They've managed to fight on all cylinders and battle their way to these finals, to take Manchester City to the last game and unfortunately not win the Premier League. So I think with the expectations on the outside on Liverpool Football Club, in terms of the quadruple, I think that's what makes people think it's not a successful season. As well, of course, the players would of course want to win one of those bigger competitions, but some of those players haven't won the FA Cup before. Some of them haven't won the Carling Cup before, the Capital One Cup.
So let me ask you something, Daniel. Let's go back to the game
And
regarding Real Madrid for a second. And we're just losing him for a moment. Are you back, Daniel? There he is. There he is. There he is.
You hear me?
I love it. I can hear you now, buddy.
What did you hear me until?
I want to go back on the game itself. Talk to me about players that actually impressed you. Obviously, Courtois was amazing. Would you say he was your man of the match?
Fantastic. Yeah, man of the match for sure. He made some unbelievable saves, managed the time well, catch the ball and lie down and all that stuff. The stuff players hate, which annoys us obviously, when you're trying to get a goal back and the goalkeeper just catches it and then just drops down and you're like, geez, get up, man. So, from that side of things, it was an interesting game to watch. Vinicius was a threat. His runs in behind. Modric controlled the game very well, played some intricate passes. And Valverde was very good as well. Valverde, I feel like he managed the game well. He kept Robertson pretty quiet. And that was a big deal, for the game. Konate played well as well for Liverpool, and I have to give him some credit.
And Trent Alexander-Arnold, I think, played a really good game, devastated towards the end of that game. He didn't do it. We're getting a lot of comments already right now. Madrid had a Cinderella story of a Champions League campaign. Crazy fun, says Stacey Beats. There was another comment about the managers. Carlo Ancelotti outmanaged. There you go, Raymond. Outmanaged Jurgen Klopp. What'd you say to that?
I wouldn't say that personally. I think that Liverpool played well, and they unfortunately didn't take the chances that they created. Courtois was immense. And on another day, it could have been 3-1 or 2-1 to Liverpool. So, I do believe that the game was a very difficult game for both teams in periods of time. But they managed to get the job done. Real Madrid did, and they deserved the victory in the end.
Who's your man of the match from a Liverpool perspective? From a Real Madrid perspective, not Courtois. I know that we mentioned some players, Valverde, but we have to highlight just how good, once again, Vinicius Junior. I mean, his escalation into this game, and not just this game, but the season, becoming more than just a Robin to Karim Benzema's Batman. He really has been tremendous, and he comes out with the winner. I mean, how good has he been, not just in the final, but in the lead up to the final itself?
He's been fantastic all season. I've watched him play in a lot of games. He's been decisive. He's improved his finishing, which was one thing that he would have had to improve on to take it to the next level. And he's done just that. He's become more clinical in front of goal. He's putting himself in positions to score, which is important. If you miss, it's not a problem. You pick yourself up, you go again. And I think today he was brilliant. He was a threat all night. And in the end, he made the decisive action and scored the goal.
We got Daniel Sturridge here. Get your questions in. He's about to go. He's not here long because then Jimmy Conrad will come in and Jonathan Johnson. So we want to make sure that you throw in your... There's Jimmy Conrad. He's coming in a minute. We're just giving Daniel a little bit of the limelight because it's been such a pleasure. Daniel, you were fantastic today on HQ. It was his debut in the studio. How did you like it being with everybody?
I enjoyed it, man. It was a great experience having banter with you guys. Going back and forth about takes and so on and so forth. Obviously, you called the victory for Liverpool, for Real Madrid.
Thank you, Daniel.
You're talking yourself up, saying I owe you a beer, this, that, and the third. You know what I mean? But it's all good, though, baby. I'm going to get you back now. Don't take it over with, baby. I got you.
I just got to remember, Daniel Sturridge, that you owe me a beer, my friend. So you make sure you... Hey, listen, by the way, and Jonathan Johnson's in the background listening, Daniel Sturridge, he's a Brummie, and he was scouted by Villa at age 7. So don't ever forget that. Hey, listen, Daniel Sturridge, let me ask you something. What does Liverpool do now in the summer? Because now, we have to remember that this is now, is it a restart thing for Jurgen Klopp? Do they need to focus on other players? Because, they haven't, okay, FA Cup, League Cup, but they haven't won the Premier League. And once again, they failed to win the Champions League as well, even though successful enough, they made it to the final. Do you think you need a big transition or just a few key players?
I think first things first, get those contracts sorted out. That'll be the main priority for Liverpool, is to get those players signed, because that's the core group of players that have made the club successful in the past 5 years. So you want to keep those players. You want to have those players at the football club. And then whatever positions the backroom staff, Jurgen and his team, as well as the hierarchy, believe that they can bring in to help improve the squad and take them to the next level is what they're going to want to do. I think trying to do a rebuild based on pretty much one of the most successful seasons for Liverpool. When you look at what they've achieved this season, getting to 3 finals, winning 2, losing 1, losing the title by 1 point. I mean, when you look at the season they've had, it's been unbelievable. So because of those 2 failures of not winning the Champions League and not winning the Premier League, people will forget how close they actually were and how much of a successful season, the football they played, the goals they scored. They've been dominant for the best part of the season, and unfortunately for them, the big game tonight, as well as the Premier League game, they didn't get it over the finish line. But at the end of the day, Liverpool Football Club are in a great place. They don't need to go anywhere far-fetched now. They need to just continue doing what they're doing, and next season they go again.
There's a good question here. Ace of them spades. Does Mohamed Salah need to be renewed, really, or time to move on? What do you think?
I mean, what would be the reason for him not being signed? Look at the numbers he's produced over the past 3 or 4 seasons he's been at Liverpool. The numbers are incredible. Goals and assists. He was joint top scorer this season and assists. I think over the past 4 seasons, he's been Liverpool's top scorer bar 1, if I'm not mistaken, when Mane was top scorer. So when you look at the numbers he's produced over the years and the trophies he's brought to the club, along with his teammates, he's been a vital component in Liverpool's success. So to let a player like that go, it's going to be difficult to replace those goals. And of course, you can find players to do that. But Mohamed Salah is a world-class player, one of the best players in the world. So it's important for Liverpool to try and keep him. And I'm sure they'll resolve that in the near future.
Well, Daniel Sturridge, before you go, one final question. Sylvia, thank you so much. Let's ask this one. What do you think about both teams, their substitutions? I remember sitting next to you in this game, and we were saying, what is Ancelotti doing? Camavinga's not even in yet. And it was like, 70 minutes, 75th minute, and Rodrigo didn't come on till like the 85th minute. What did you make of the substitutions on both sides?
I thought Real Madrid's substitutions were quite late, to be honest. I thought that, they would have made changes a little bit earlier to freshen things up in the midfield, to keep that momentum going, to keep the pressing going, because Liverpool were putting them under a lot of pressure. and were creating maybe not clear-cut chances, but they were putting them, pushing them back. So it got to a point where it was like, we need some legs in here that can kind of win the ball back for us and then bring it forward and take the pressure off of us. I think Liverpool subs, they made similar substitutions most weeks. It's just the timing of those substitutions. But I didn't feel that Jurgen made any mistakes by bringing any players on that he shouldn't have. I think he made the right choices. He went with the attacking options of Diaz, bringing on Naby Keita, obviously to freshen things up in the midfield, and Bobby Firmino to try and score a goal or create one. So the substitutions he made were the right ones. And unfortunately for the players, again, they didn't go out there and put the ball in the back of the net. But Bobby came on and was sharp, and the other two had an impact. So at the end of the day, they're going to be kicking themselves when they get to the hotel tonight that they didn't get the job done.
Well, I tell you something, a great finisher, a great playing career. My God, Daniel Sturridge, you are a great pundit, my friend. I love it. Thank you so much, Daniel Sturridge. Hey, get home safe, buddy, and you owe me a drink.
I got a long drive. Got a long drive ahead, baby.
Daniel Sturridge, thank you so much, man.
Appreciate you guys, man, for having me.
Daniel. Give me your celebration, buddy.
Thanks for having me, guys. Much love.
Yeah. Yes, sir. All right. Well, that was Daniel Sturridge. And in a second now, let's bring in Jonathan Johnson. And of course, we'll come in with Jimmy Conrad. JJ, you've been so patient with us. You're still at Stade de France. How are you, buddy? Give me your thoughts about the game. Real Madrid winning their 14th Champions League title.
Hey there, guys. Yeah, as much as I'd love to be like wrapped up home in bed right now. Can't get out of the stadium for love nor money, so I'm stuck here with you guys. No, it was. I'll be honest with you. It probably wasn't the experience that I had hoped for my first Champions League final. That wasn't down to the spectacle we saw on the pitch. Obviously, that's due to events, that were out of, most of our control in the stadium. Really unfortunate to see scenes like that. And I have to say, it kind of set the tone in a really weird way. The atmosphere was quite awkward. The Real fans, they'd been in the stadium for hours, so it didn't really affect them as much. But you could see the build-up of Liverpool fans came very, very late towards the beginning of the match, just about around kickoff time. And I think that did impact the atmosphere, certainly in the first half of the game. But, as Daniel said, fantastic performance from Courtois, really, really impressive. I think he's finally, showing why Real decided to dispense with the services of Keylor Navas when they did. Crazy to think that it's only Courtois' second Champions League final. And the first one came with Atletico Madrid and Real. So, I think ultimately, I've said it so many times this season that Real are kind of a team that are just milking, their very last, sort of juice from this brilliant generation of players. Again, I think that they're so close now to almost needing to rebuild this squad. But, now they failed to sign Kylian Mbappe. They've got more transfer money than they probably thought they'd have this summer. Perhaps it is a time for a rebuild. At the end of the day, Real Madrid, as impressive as this victory is, 14th, unprecedented numbers of titles in the Champions League. It doesn't really feel like a sustainable model. There's only, you're not going to be able to rely on Courtois' brilliance every single game. And you're not going to be able to rely on Benzema's brilliance in every single match to get you, from the first group stage game to the final. We've seen that together, that just about combines. They've lived on the edge of their seat at times, but it has ultimately paid off. Kudos to Carlo Ancelotti as well. I think man management really comes into its own at this stage of a competition. And I think as well, with his experience, he probably would have seen scenes like that before, being able to keep the players calm when they had to come out and do the second warm-up before the match, and ultimately rode out what was quite an awkward, final in the end, and they produced a solid performance. I'd be lying if I said that I thought that Real were ultimately the better team, because I thought Liverpool really should have scored at least once, especially in the first half when they had so many chances. Mane hitting the woodwork. But like we've said, Courtois was phenomenal. That really does rank up there as one of the epic performances. And I guess that would be my most positive takeaway from the evening. To witness that kind of greatness live is honestly, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, JJ, quickly before you go, obviously you were mentioning how it didn't begin in the right way, right? So much mayhem outside of the stadium, and UEFA initially blaming the lateness of fans and traffic, but then also now talking about legitimate tickets, saying that going on, what did you make of it, and how would you assess the way that UEFA handled it, especially after, what happened at Euro 2020 final, and even the problems that happened, in the Europa League as well?
Yeah, it's really unfortunate because it just seems to have almost exploded in the last year or so. I don't remember us seeing those kind of problems that we saw at Euro 2020 that we saw here. I think it's going to take a bit of time before people can pick through the incident and really work out what happened. But I have to be honest, just for where I've been able to take in this evening's events, it sounds like there is a fair amount of blame on all sides. It does sound like that there were ticketless fans trying to force their way into the stadium. It does sound like the policing of the stadium, was too sparse and then too heavy-handed. It was almost like it should have been planned better organized. I think there was a lot of unhelpful finger pointing as well from the likes of UEFA towards the local police. The police also not really being too helpful in sort of making out that it was due to some of the strike work, that went in on the train side of things. I don't ultimately think that really played into, the situation. I was with throngs of Real Madrid fans as they made their way into the stadium 3 hours before the game. So there was definitely a problem between, sort of the fans arriving with tickets and getting through the turnstiles and actually being able to access the stadium. But obviously the scenes that we've seen on social media, really not what you want to see, and obviously very worrying for Paris, the city, given that it's going to be the Olympic host in 2024 as well. Not a good audition. I'm sure that there will be more sort of finger pointing and statements made over the coming hours, and we'll see how that plays out. But it is worrying that we're starting to see a rise of this sort of thing. We've seen stadium problems, of different types in French football over the course of the season. And then given what we saw at Euro 2020 as well, this is something that is really now going to have to be, tackled, by venues organizing, one-off centerpiece matches like this, but also tournament organizers as well. We're going to a World Cup at the end of this year. Fans take that sort of behavior to somewhere like Qatar, where all of the supporters are going to be up on each other more so than ever. That really could be a recipe for disaster. So fingers crossed that, security really steps up over the remainder of this year, so that we don't see any more repeated scenes like this.
Well, to your point, Jonathan Johnson, let's hope that you yourself get home safe. So let's let you get home safe. And thank you so much for all the hard work you did today, and of course on the course of the season. But it's not over for you and Qué Golazo. We just keep rolling over here. So make sure that you take care of yourself, my friend. Make sure that James Bench is fine as well. But JJ, thank you so much, buddy.
Thanks a lot, my man. Always a pleasure, and looking forward to the next one. Take care.
All right, that's JJ from Stade de France. He will be heading home, but make sure to follow his content from John_LeGossip. All right, before we take a break, let's bring in Jimmy Conrad, who is Jimmy. Jimmy Conrad is in the house. Jimmy, what did you do with Daniel Sturridge, buddy?
You know what? We had a couple bro hugs. We talked about how great we were on camera today, and the fact that Liverpool couldn't get the job done. But obviously, a big honor for me to spend some time with not only you, LME, but Daniel Sturridge. That was a pleasant surprise to have him join the team with us for this big game. And now I feel like I've got a new friend, so that's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Hey, Jimmy, let's talk about your initial thoughts about the game itself. And I guess a question that we haven't even brought up, actually, because, there were many moments in this game, Courtois aside, where, it was definitely an arguable thing. Like, for example, Karim Benzema's goal. What did you make of that? The disallowed goal. Should it have been disallowed?
That's a difficult one for me. when I spoke at halftime on CBS Sports HQ, I just said I wasn't smart enough to really understand the rules.
Me neither, buddy.
So we brought on Christina Uncle, who's our resident referee expert. And she's like, well, in chapter 11 or rule number, I'm like, I don't know. Like, I went to college. I didn't graduate. I was in the back doing crosswords and stuff. So, you know, I valued her opinion. It really came down to, from what she mentioned, that because Fede Valverde made a play on the ball and he made enough of the play on the ball to push that ball forward, to take a shot or whatever it is, then the deflection from Fabinho was unintentional ultimately. And he wasn't trying to meaningfully play to Benzema, not like he would in any other universe. And so it really kind of gets down to interpretation. And when she first went on, she went on CBS Sports on Paramount Plus, and I think she said that should have been a goal. But then I think after she had some time to look at it and maybe canvass some opinions from some of her cohorts in the referee world, at halftime, she said that they actually made the correct call. But let's be honest, ball doesn't lie, right? They still get the goal. Real Madrid had Liverpool won that game, I think we'd be talking about a lot of controversy right now. But because Madrid ended up getting the goal and it ended up being the game winner, then we don't have as much to talk about with that particular play. But my overall thoughts, LME, is that once Liverpool didn't score in that first 20, 30 minutes when they had their run, kind of similar to a lot of their games, and if they do score in there, then they seem to be in control. The other team starts to chase. They have to open up, and then Liverpool can hit you on the counter. But once they didn't do that, and that's what Real Madrid does, they just lull you to sleep. The other team doesn't take their chances, then you know they're going to get that one, and they did. And even though I still think it's a shot from Fede Valverde, you're told if you're going to miss a shot, to miss it to the back post so that somebody like a Vinicius Junior can be there at the right place at the right time, crashing at the back post. So Madrid doing what they had to do. It's incredibly impressive. And I have one fun fact for everybody. I have to read it out loud. This is from Dermot Corrigan, a friend of mine. In the last 21 years, La Liga teams have played in 17 Champions League or Europa League finals against non-Spanish teams. And they won all 17 of those. Isn't that insane? That is insane. And shout out to La Liga for that type of dominance in Europe, because that is ridiculous.
Absolutely insane, but it makes complete sense. By the way, everybody, that question is to you. Was it the correct call regarding that Karim Benzema disallowed goal? We're already seeing some comments about how even though it was disallowed, it shifted the momentum into Real Madrid's way, which is a very good point as well. And here you have it. Los Blancos take the third meeting 2022, this time that we just saw, 1-0 against Liverpool. They defeated Liverpool in the quarterfinals. In the final in 2018, but they also beat them last year in the quarterfinals as well. And it wasn't until 1981 when Liverpool actually did it the other way around. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, a little bit more with Jimmy Conrad. It's just Jimmy C and me. And then we'll answer some more questions, and that should be it, because it's actually been the longest day of mine and Jimmy's life. But we'll take a break. After we come back, much more Champions League final recap. See you in a little moment. Till then.
Sonic the Hedgehog, you're no match for me.
This is your moment to be the big hero.
Oh, great, the Winter Soldier.
It is my destiny to destroy you.
Work smarter, not harder.
Hang on! That wasn't too bad.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2, rated PG, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
Welcome back, everybody. Qué Golazo, Champions League. Riga, Jimmy Conrad in the house.
Hello.
LME. Hey, Jimmy. Hey, everybody. I know, Des Norris, I'm about to give the Paramount Plus giveaway, but I have a very big surprise for everybody. Come on in, Poppy Miller! Poppy Miller. Wait, I need to move my big head so she's like coming in. There you go. Poppy Miller in the house. A tremendous. Hey, listen, everybody. Poppy Miller has just finished a tremendous season, Serie A, Champions League.
Crushing it.
And guess, Poppy, why don't you tell everybody what you're about to do?
I am about to go to the airport. I'm going to watch the Mighty Reds play tomorrow at Wembley against Huddersfield. I'm so nervous already. The Uber's about 2 minutes away, so I'm going to have to dash. But I wanted to say goodbye to my guys, and thanks for a fabulous season.
Poppy Miller, who's going back to England to see the Tricky Trees. Woo! Nottingham Forest. Bye, Poppy. Have a fantastic
Poppy.
flight.
Safe travels.
She's taking the red eye. She might not come back if Nottingham Forest make it to the Premier League. I don't know. It might be a tough one. But Nottingham Forest, by the way, playing Huddersfield on Monday. But let's get back on Sunday. I'm sorry. Let's get back to the Champions League final recap. Hey, everybody, before we get into that, a Paramount Plus giveaway that we're giving away, $100.
I love those.
Do you like them? Hey, but you never win it, Jimmy. Why don't you ever win it, bud?
I don't know why. I think because producer Des never picks me. It's really...
Yeah, that's true. Hey, Poppy, by the way, is doing some crazy things in this studio right now. Hey, listen, Paramount Plus $100 giveaway card. Make sure that to tweet Qué Golazo Pod, send in your handle, $100. All you got to do is do P+, and we'll select a winner. Des Norris will select a winner. We've already given a few away. We also have a merch store as well. You just got to go to the description. There's a link in the description. Qué Golazo snapbacks, hoodies. All you have it right there. All right, let's get back to the Champions League.
Do it.
Real Madrid winning 1-0 against Liverpool. Their 14th title. Unbelievable. Let's do some player ratings, Jimmy Conrad.
Okay, wait, where do you want to start?
This is really easy. Who was your man of the match?
Oh, come on. I mean, everybody, if you say Thibaut Courtois or don't say Thibaut Courtois, I don't know if I can be friends anymore with any parts of the audience. I just don't know who else you could elect that really stood out and had such an influence and impact on the game. The saves that he made, when he made those saves, he mentioned, we saw an interview with him after the game where he thought his most important save was the one against Mane in the first half, because had Liverpool scored then, it would have given them that boost of confidence that they needed. Now, obviously, the one against Salah in the second half, they had the lead. It was important as well, but he just felt like that one against Mane was more important. I think everybody, in some ways, I think that Madrid had, and we talk about this a lot on In Soccer We Trust podcast, another one you guys should check out. But we talk about if a team is going to do well and have success, then you need a lot of your players to play 7 or 8 out of 10. And I thought that Madrid had a lot of 7 or 8 out of 10s. Not to say that Liverpool didn't have that, but they just lacked maybe a little bit of that quality that we've seen from them when they have their best performances. If both of those teams had played to their potential, I feel like Liverpool would have been the winners for sure. For sure sounds pretty certain, but I just think they had the quality to make that happen. But one thing we haven't really discussed, we didn't talk about it in the post-game show either, LME, so I want to get your thoughts. But I thought Fede Valverde, let's leave the half shot, half cross aside. By stacking him up with Carvajal, we knew that Carvajal was going to be identified as a weakness on that right side, that Luis Diaz or Sadio Mane, whoever sat out there, was going to probably have the advantage over a Carvajal who doesn't look as sprightly and young as he once was, though I thought he played pretty well today. But because Fede Valverde was in front of him, and we saw a play, I believe in the second half, where somebody tries to run at Carvajal, and Fede Valverde's like, puts on his Roadrunner shoes and like gets behind Carvajal to make sure he covers Luis Diaz. And I thought that limited Luis Diaz's impact on the game. So Fede Valverde really had an influential part on and the goal being scored, of course. And then also defensively, I just thought, and slowing down Luis Diaz for maybe picking up the ball that he wants, or always having 2 players to get through when he does pick it up. I thought that was a pretty bold stroke of tactics from Carlo Ancelotti when Rodrigo had been so hot. The fact that Rodrigo didn't come on until like the last 30 seconds or whatever really speaks to how highly he rated his starting team, because I don't think he made any subs until, the 82nd, 83rd minute, which was pretty surprising given how well Camavinga had been when coming in for Cruz in earlier knockout round games. So anyway, I'm starting with Thibaut Courtois and going off an absolute tangent on everybody else. But I wanted to get your thoughts on player ratings as well, because I just don't know who else could really be considered as man of the match. And UEFA gave Courtois the man of the match as well.
No, he's clearly the man of the match. You can't argue against it. He gave one of the most historic performances a goalkeeper has ever done in a Champions League final or in any final. There's no doubt about it. Man of the match. I got to be honest. I think that when you look at this Real Madrid performance, part of the reason why it was pretty frustrating for Liverpool and for many neutral fans was because as a team, they got the job done. Eder Militao, I thought, was fantastic. Militao was so good alongside Alaba, of course. But Dani Carvajal, Jimmy Conrad, was tremendous.
Well, it's probably because our expectations were low. Ellen.
Yeah, that's true. We didn't expect much of Dani Carvajal, and I thought he was fantastic. So much so that Luis Diaz really didn't do anything. Fede Valverde, to your point, such an engine, which is why we were arguing with Daniel Sturridge in the pregame how he deserves to start, because he's going to, at the very least, make it very quiet for somebody like Andy Robertson to do his thing. But to your point, not only did he do that, Luis Diaz really had a quiet game. And it wasn't because Luis Diaz is not a performance-driven player, it's because Valverde and Dani Carvajal made it very difficult for them. It was a very impressive right side of the field for Real Madrid.
100%. I mean, there was a plan in place for sure. I mean, that's why I don't think Ancelotti wanted to make any subs, because the plan was working. So why go in there and interrupt it, especially when you get the lead and how hard you fought for that lead, to now hand it over to somebody else that maybe isn't into the flow of the game in the same way. I thought it was interesting that he waited that long, given the success of some of the subs in previous games, as I mentioned. I do want to give a shout out to Casemiro, because I thought he did a lot of the thankless work, as he usually does. He didn't get too crazy with his dark arts. I thought he made some really vital tackles in front of the back four to make the game a little bit more predictable for his center backs, so that they know where he's pushing the ball. They know what passing lanes he's stepping inside of. So, you know, Liverpool are very good at those little 1-2s at the top of the box, and Casemiro is just around. He's a pest. He breaks up so many plays that I almost feel like, as much as we were undervaluing what Carvajal could bring to the table today, we just maybe take Casemiro for granted, because he does so much of the work. And I thought that what's a cliche, that games are won and lost in midfield. In a lot of different ways, I thought the midfield canceled each other out. But I do remember Casemiro making some tackles, like those kind of backtracking.
Did he get booked?
Luis Diaz aren't looking, they're kind of coming from the side and breaking up plays. And it's hard.
Did they book him?
I don't think he got booked.
That's amazing in itself.
It is. Well, it's not, and it is and it isn't, because he's such a master at like dodging yellow cards. But we're looking at the full-time match stats right now, and the fact that Liverpool had expected goals of 2.1 and Madrid had 0.9 pretty much sums it up.
Yeah.
Now, I went out there and said on TV that I thought that Liverpool would win 2-1. And if the goddamn expected goals would have hit, I would have been an absolute champion right now.
I know, but who was the only one that picked Real Madrid?
You did, and I appreciate you that you did, because sometimes emotion and vibes, which is what Real Madrid had and rode that wave into the final, is what you need. And when we heard from Modric after the game, we heard from Carlo Ancelotti after the game, they really talked about the character of this team. And Modric has won five Champions League trophies.
It's unbelievable.
It's ridiculous.
By the way, Fabrizio Romano just reported that great news for Real Madrid. Luka Modric has signed a new contract until June 2023. Full verbal agreement was reached 2 months ago, so it's now also signed and completed. So, official statement is the only thing that's pending. Luka staying for at least until June 2023.
I love that. I love that. It settles him, obviously, in the World Cup for Croatia. He knows where he's going to be. He doesn't have to go to a new club. I think that Madrid have done some good things in terms of transitioning players. I look at Marcelo in particular, where he was such a vital part of that team for so many years, and then he wasn't. And it's not easy to see one of your older players that you love and care for not be the same type of guy. But I think they've done that with a lot of respect, especially as it pertains to Marcelo. And I could see Luka Modric doing the same, where he's still a vital component, whether he's getting those minutes or not. We saw it with Xavi and Iniesta at Barcelona. It's just tough when you have your guys who've been such a core of your team for 5, 8, 10 years. I mean, Marcelo's been there forever and was arguably at his peak the best left back in the world. And so I feel like there's a similar plan here for Modric. And I think that's great news, especially as he starts to give his influence and expertise to Camavinga and Fede Valverde and the next wave of guys that are going to be representing Real Madrid.
By the way, also Florentino Perez was asked about Mbappe, and he said, Mbappe, he does not exist tonight. It's Real Madrid party. It's a thing of the past. Nothing has happened. Real Madrid had a perfect season. And listen, I got to say something. We asked it, right? Who needs this more? And Real Madrid needed it more. And obviously not all of it is because of Mbappe and not getting him, but a massive factor, especially for somebody that needs the focus of reputation as much as Florentino Perez, needed to be a Real Madrid victory in order for him to say something like that. Because, and actually perfectly concluded for Florentino Perez, because and this is something that I've said for like 2 weeks now, you never needed Mbappe because you have somebody like Vinicius Junior who is just escalating himself into such a tremendous player.
You do. I think that Mbappe kind of could see that for what it's worth too. I mean, he referenced a sporting project. I don't know what he's going to get from that with PSG outside of signing old superstars, which feels like a very MLS move of PSG to do that, or MLS 1.0. I think they're making obviously a lot more smarter signings as they go forward. But I'm curious about the sporting project that they have, because it seemed like Madrid was a nice stepping stone, or like maybe final destination for him, right? He could have played there 6-8 years, won a couple of Champions League trophies, and now I don't know. I honestly feel like, really quickly about Mbappe, and I agree with Florentino Perez, which I don't say often or ever, but this is about Real Madrid. But I will say very quickly, I think they said you can go win a Champions League or have a great chance at it with Real Madrid, and you'll be part of a collective, or you could be the guy here at PSG in your hometown, bringing us our first ever Champions League trophy. And we'll let you go in 3 years, but let us have the next 3. Let's see if we can do it. And I think that's what got him. I honestly think it's like that, being the guy that brought PSG their first Champions League trophy is got to be really appealing. Anyway, that aside, Florentino Perez is kind of talking some trash here, because after Real Madrid lost to PSG in leg 1 of the round of 16 in Paris, which was a really listless 90 minutes from them, 1-0, they should have lost by more than 1 goal. Kylian Mbappe had to score very, very late to make that happen. The board of Real Madrid were so disgusted with how the team played, they were considering firing Carlo Ancelotti after that game.
That's right.
I mean, so as much as Florentino Perez says, "Oh, it's a perfect season," get the hell out of here, dude. It wasn't a perfect season.
There was a lot of drama.
You're ready to throw that guy into the basura, you know?
Yeah,
so,
and I love that Carlo Ancelotti was once asked, I think it was this season, like, what's your job? What's your objective? What's your overall objective, within this team, do you think? This team of stars, this huge team with massive expectations. And his answer was, I just want to make the president happy. Just keep him happy over and over again. And that's kind of part of the narrative of Real Madrid, who, by the way, tweeted, the finals are not played, they are won. And I think that's everything about, what happens with Real Madrid. What happens in the transfer window for Los Blancos, do you think?
Well, I think it continues to solidify them.
Rudiger is on his way. We know
Rudiger's coming in, which I think is interesting, because I like Ferland Mendy. So Militao obviously has emerged. He's now a Champions League winner. I mean, all these guys that maybe you didn't believe in, that Carlo Ancelotti, who is a player whisperer, by the way, seem to have got these guys playing to their potential. Rudiger seems like surplus goods. Now, obviously, he's a tremendous signing. He's only 29, going to have a couple good years for you at that center back position. But I actually kind of feel for Militao, who might have to make way, because you could have Rudiger at the right center back position, Alaba there, and then Mendy, or you could have Mendy out and Alaba take. It's just kind of, I mean, it's a good problem to have if you're a Madridista, but I honestly think they need to figure out a right back position. They need to figure out, Lucas Vazquez isn't the answer there. Fede Valverde is better used elsewhere. Carvajal is getting older. He's starting to get more injury prone. So the right back is an interesting one. I know they're in for Tchouaméni from Monaco. That would be an interesting signing for them, because they don't need to play him right away. Very similar to Camavinga, even though his talent is obvious. They could ease them into that as they ease out Kroos and Modric and eventually Casemiro as well. I think that Rodrigo is going to kind of, if I was going to make a bold prediction, LME, Rodrigo, I think, is on the precipice of having a Vinicius Junior like season next year.
Which is scary.
It's scary, because now Vinicius is only going to get more confident, just scored the game winner in the Champions League final. Benzema continues to age like fine wine. But I also think that they might need to start looking for a number.
Can I tell you something, Jimmy? I think that they should put, and Chelsea fans are going to hate me, they should put all their might into getting Reece James. I think,
I heard that he's an option. I heard that as well.
That would be a tremendous asset as well. And by the way, we're asking all of you out there the same question. What is Real Madrid, or what should be Real Madrid's transfer plans? Now, Kylian Mbappé is not going. Who cares? You have a Champions League title, Vinicius Junior, Rodrigo, to Jimmy's point. Who else would you think could make? I mean, Tchouaméni is fantastic, but I think they still want to make a statement as well with this. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I think, as good as Dani Carvajal was or whatever, getting somebody like to Reece James' stature would really signify a massive point for Real Madrid.
Well, also you have to take into consideration the wages that they're saving by not paying Kylian Mbappé,
Correct.
right? So they have, and they've been saving. They've been sitting on this money. They're going to probably. Eden Hazard, I know that Ancelotti said they're going to keep him. I'm curious. What if all of a sudden he has a renaissance? Now you got something on your hands here. Gareth Bale's on his way out. You're going to start to have some money to play with, and that's a scary proposition. This is a team that won La Liga and the Champions League, and if everybody continues to stay healthy, you got Courtois. You're adding Rudiger, Benzema.
Hey, Real Madrid fans, Jimmy. Stacey Beat says we need a backup striker and a new right back. Well, we're talking about the right back. Say, what about the backup striker?
Backup striker, I think, is interesting because Benzema is very unique. It's going to be hard to find someone that does what he can do. But I almost reference what Milan did with Giroud and Zlatan, where maybe you just go get some experience next year and just look to see who the next kind of young player. I mean, Vlahovic obviously goes to Juve. That would have been an interesting one, Vlahovic. But somebody that's mobile like that. I mean, I think that system works better when you have a mobile number 9 that can do the things that Benzema can do. And I think any system would be great if you had Benzema in it, of course. But if they had a stagnant number 9 who doesn't do a couple different things and is only good at one thing, I don't think that's going to help Madrid. And they've had that. Luka Jovic didn't really pan out. Mariano Diaz hasn't really panned out.
Just grab Edinson Cavani. I don't know.
Cavani's not an interesting. That's not a bad shout. I mean, they're
even if it's just for one season. I mean,
right.
The other one that I was thinking about, which obviously won't happen, but maybe if they hijack it and if Lewandowski's happy with it. But how about him coming in? I mean,
can you imagine?
He's not going to be happy to just sit on the bench because Karim Benzema is still going to be dominating. But this is a good opportunity for him to at least show what he can do and maybe get some rest in between matches.
What about Darwin Nunez?
Oh, that's a great call.
I mean, I think he actually fits that bill a little bit, to be honest. I assume everybody beat me to that in the comments, and they have the money. I mean, not to say they were going to have to pay for Mbappe. He would have been free, and Nunez going to be pretty expensive, I think, all things considered. But that is an interesting player that you could bring in. The problem is Benzema, and I think Mbappe knew this too. Benzema's not going to, I don't think he's slowing down.
No.
Okay, you sign and you put a lot of money into Nunez, but then what? You're probably not going to have a lot of minutes for him.
And also, Darwin Nunez doesn't want to be a number 2 to anybody at this point.
No, of course.
So we'll have to see what happens there. Hey, Karim Benzema, Ballon d'Or winner, right?
I think it's if he would have scored in the final, like if that goal would have stood in the first half and he would have been the match winner, I mean, it just would have been hand him the trophy now. Not to say that he won't. I think we're really, really close to that, but he didn't have that cherry on top just yet. So
but still, though, tremendous season.
No,
what does everybody think, by the way?
I mean, usually if you win the Champions League, you win your domestic league, and you're the star and the reason why that team had that type of success, then yeah, I think you're probably the favorite.
That's a question for everybody out there, by the way. Karim Benzema, Ballon d'Or winner. What do you think? All right, let's move on to Liverpool before we finish and say goodbye here. Like we said, listen, 3 finals, no goals, which is a little alarming, I think. Where do you think, by the way, well, first of all, how should Liverpool's domestic cup double season be remembered? Do you think it's a failure, a success?
No. Failure's strong. I don't think it's a success. I think you're satisfied. I think when all the dust settles, you'll be satisfied with the season. You're not necessarily happy. You probably have an air of disappointment because of how close you were to a record quadruple. But yeah, I mean, not having any goals in 270 minutes in cup finals and having to win in penalties twice against Chelsea, and that speaks to something. I don't know what it is exactly. Now, Chelsea, notorious especially under Thomas Tuchel, to break down are not easy. So that wasn't too surprising that they had 0-0 results. But did they have someone that stepped up in that big moment that we've seen with Karim Benzema as an example, who just didn't matter how the team was playing, he was going to take on the responsibility and hit the back of the net. We saw enough there. I mean, Thibaut Courtois, it's funny because we're trying to break it down and really get into all this, and all you really could say is, hey, they ran into a hot goalkeeper. What the hell are you going to do? And when you look at those 3 games, those 3 cups where they don't score any goals, we could argue Courtois and Mendy are probably the 2 best goalkeepers in the world right now. And that's just unlucky. When we look at their expected goals, they should have hit the back of the net and didn't. So they're going to be disappointed, obviously. But I think if there's, another month or 2 has passed, there might be a little bit of bitterness. But overall, I mean, I thought they had the best starting lineup that they could put out there. The performance overall, they had the possession. When we had James Benge on HQ, he said it was pretty one-sided, that Liverpool were all over him. The press was working. But
yeah, he's always saying that. Listen,
yeah, that's true. He's very pro Premier League.
The Premier League is my favorite league, and I'm also pro Premier, but I have to calm him down every single time. And listen, James Benge, I love you, but on Qué Golazo, every single time, PSG, Chelsea, Man City, every time you were like, this is it for Real Madrid. Sure.
Yeah, well,
he said it again. He said it again in the final. And I said, listen, the narrative of this Champions League has been, you can't kill Real Madrid.
You
and
can't.
they've shown it once
What,
again.
what you can, but you have to. Well, even if you score early, they're actually more comfortable when you give up. They give up a goal.
Exactly.
Yeah, I guess. But Liverpool really, for them as a team, they needed that. They needed that goal, and Courtois just made the timely saves, which, as we discussed earlier, is vital if you're going to win any competition of consequence. What makes me a little bit worried for Liverpool, and I think you asked Daniel Sturridge about it, is what's next for them. Because
well,
they
Ilias
have
right now is asking that question. What would you guys think Liverpool should add to this squad? What's next for Liverpool? First of all, there's contract negotiations to deal with there, Jimmy.
Yeah.
There's Mohamed Salah and Sadio Mane. And then to add to that question, Jimmy, what do they do above all that?
Well, I would say that I was really impressed with Konate. I thought he was very good today.
Excellent.
And one of the cool parts about watching a Champions League game with a former player that used to play for Liverpool and for both managers today, and Daniel Sturridge, we got to pepper him with questions off camera. And he had mentioned that Liverpool's people think that Konate is the best athlete they have in their whole squad, which I was like, damn, all right, that's some good info.
Crazy.
So
with Trent Alexander-Arnold in there, that's insane.
It's insane. So, I mean, you have the pieces in place. That back line, which is, I would say, if you're going to look at any team around the world, even the best ones, even Madrid, the back line is always, there's always one player. You're like, one of these things is not like the other, but Liverpool have that locked down. Thiago, injury prone. Is he? I think he'll be around for another year. I don't know his contract situation. Fabinho's getting older. Milner and Henderson getting older. Naby Keita doesn't seem like he's really kicked on to be the guy that they think. He gets hurt a lot too. I know they got Reece Jones and Harvey Elliott, and they got some other players. I think there's maybe some room to add another midfielder. And then I would say you might want to go look for a proper number 9. We see it with Man City sometimes too. Maybe even Liverpool could have had maybe, and I love Bobby Firmino, but just to have an option off the bench. That's just some big guy that can hold up balls, and just when you need to dump the ball or you need to whip in crosses because you're getting that desperation, you need to have somebody that can finish it. I think Liverpool have to make moves because we have Manchester City signing Erling Haaland. That's just going to make them, well, in theory and on paper, more dominant because now they kind of have that last piece to unlock everything. Still, the proof's in the pudding. They have to go out there and play and execute. There might be too many egos for one ball, but we'll end up seeing. But I think Liverpool have to do something to kind of match that ambition, or at least it feels like they do. So it just depends if they keep Sadio Mane, who's been rumored to go to Bayern, Mo Salah, what's his situation? So I think they have some questions that need to be answered. I don't think there's any glaring weaknesses that they need to improve upon, but I think that looking forward, I think they need to find some, like a central midfielder, probably a proper number 9. And then what they're going to do when Sadio Mane and or Mo Salah.
Yeah, there are a few things that just need to be supplemented. I think Jude Bellingham would be great for Liverpool.
And he loves Liverpool, by the way.
Yeah, so there you have it as one. And I think actually Jonathan David would be very good for Liverpool.
It's not a bad shout.
But, this is a Liverpool side that has the ingredients, like you said. They just need a little bit more if they really want to compete. Because to your point, Man City are coming with Erling Haaland and Julian Alvarez, who scored 6 goals.
Dude, I forgot. Dude, listen. I don't think people appreciate Julian Alvarez. I'm a Boca Juniors fan, so I say this like between gritted teeth because he plays for River Plate and they're hated rivals. But Julian Alvarez is an incredibly special player.
He's amazing. And
if City hadn't signed Haaland, they would have been fine with Julian. The guy
now it's just stupid.
Yeah, now it's ridiculous. Yeah, City are completely a cheat code at this point. Signing Haaland, I sealed that deal.
Absolutely. All right. Well, listen, we are done. Before we say goodbye, Jimmy Conrad, my friend.
What a season, huh? This is our second or third European season together? Yeah. With the pandemic one?
I feel like it's 20, Jimmy. Me and you.
It's been great. I love the Qué Golazo audience. I love doing this with you, LME, and everybody else, our cast of characters. And please invite me back soon.
Oh, are you kidding me? Of course. And don't forget, by the way, in soccer we trust Jimmy Conrad as well. So it's going to be a busy.
We got big games coming up, everybody. In soccer we trust. We're U.S. soccer focused. Come hang out with us.
Who's up next?
Games.
Morocco,
June 1st against Morocco.
Yeah.
June 8th against I think it's before that. June 5th against Uruguay, and then we have Nations League games, Grenada and El Salvador. So lots of games, big windows. This is like the last big window for all the national teams. We'll get 2 more international games in September, and that's it. leading into the World Cup, which sounds kind of crazy that you only have 6 more games and we have to decide who our roster is going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Peru has a little game coming up as
That's
well.
true. Good luck. Good luck on that.
Hey, by the way, Jimmy will be part as well. We're doing a lot of World Cup videos on Qué Golazo, and obviously we have to preview the groups. And when that group is finally decided, because there is still obviously a playoff game for that one between Scotland, Wales, Ukraine. Once that is decided, we'll make sure to have Jimmy as well to have a conversation there. But Jimmy Conrad, such a pleasure, my friend. In fact, Jimmy is only about 20 feet away from me, but we have to do this in separate rooms. So we're going to be hugging it out after this. Jimmy flew all the way to the East Coast from the West Coast to be part of the HQ team as well as doing this. Jimmy, a pleasure, my friend. Take care of yourself, buddy, and make sure that you get home safe.
Thanks, Luis Miguel Echegaray. Shout out to producer Des as well, Jonathan Johnson, James Benj, the whole crew, Michael Lahoud. I love all you guys, and I love the community that we have built. It's tremendous.
Absolutely. Jimmy, thank you so much. He's at Jimmy Conrad. Follow him on Twitter and Instagram. One last message. Paramount Plus, $100 giveaway. Just tweet Qué Golazo Pod. Write P+, and we'll select you, and you have a $100 gift card for Paramount Plus. All right? Jimmy Conrad, LME, Des Norris, thank you so much. You've been an absolute king all season as well. Hey, Qué Golazo doesn't stop.
Never
We're
stops.
back on Monday for some Fabrizio Romano, some World Cup content, some playoffs, so much. And in soccer we trust as well. We love you all. Make sure to follow us, Qué Golazo Pod, youtube.com/Qué Golazo, CBS Sports on your CBS Sports app. Have a fantastic weekend. See you next time. Till then.